Hello, my name is Ethan, and welcome back to another episode. Well, actually, this is the first episode of, I guess it's like Tech with Ethan, and I want to start it with this, of all things. It's hard to decide where to start, but I gotta start somewhere. So I'm rambling about power supply units for a video. I have a couple power supplies I want to mention, but also it's just because of my own personal experience. Yeah, I just want to basically tell some of my own personal. So if you don't know PSU, it's like you have your computer and you have a power supply, and then just a quick example will be it's a small flashbang, by the way. Flashbang warning. It's gonna be bright. Okay, so basically let's say you got this 3080 Ti down here. It can say stuff like the suggested PSU is 750 watt, and then the TDP, so this is like the heat of watts expected, 350. So the power connectors, this one specifically is a water-cooled 3080 Ti, like god tier, asus, ROG, strix. Anyway, so the point, 3 8-pins are spec'd for 450 watts, and then the slot is another like 66, so this is like 500. And then let's say you had the top of the line 13900K, an extra like 250. So you're talking like 800 watts, so it's around the 750 that they're saying. And then in Canada, we actually like to only use like 80% and then have like a margin that doesn't get used for like your supply, so imagine I had this, but I had it in 1,000 watt, and I had it with a pre-build, and then we're not going to focus on this one too much, but basically I had this, and then I upgraded to this one, and this was I got an RM1000X for $200 at Canada Computers, and it was pretty good. This was years ago, actually, like in 2022 or something. And then what's funny about this is where there's so much actually to talk about with this. This was a 2021 model, even though I bought it in like 2022. And then so specifically, like you can see, it doesn't have the 12 volt high power. It's just pretty basic. It's an older school one. This is actually the cybernetics for it. And well, before we get into specifically the details of that, I'm gonna talk about this. So when we're talking about power supplies, there's actually a efficiency level certification rating, which is called 80 plus. And then there's 80 plus white, bronze, silver, gold, platinum, titanium. I didn't even know about ruby, and it's because it's 230 volt, and we don't deal with that. We're more like the 120. So, anyways, titanium is usually where you cap, and then no one really has titanium because it's like 3 times the price and absolutely overkill, and it's already good at platinum, and you're already pretty much good at gold. I don't go below gold, but you can. But realistically, gold is like the average, and then this is where you start. Yeah, it gets pretty bad below this. Um, so then back to our so yeah, this was the 2021 model of the RM1000X, and then imagine around that same time, I buy a second one because I had to make a backup setup because I messed up my computer, and then I was basically trying to get my setup going again. So I got the RM1000E, and the reason for the E was that it was low noise. And so both of these were supposed to be like uh low noise. This one specifically is 0 RPM fan mode. I'll get into that in a second. But yeah, this one was similar. But then this one is a newer one. This is the 2022 one, and it comes with the 2-to-1. This is two 8-pin PCIe to 12 plus 4-pin PCI Gen 5 12 volt high power 2x6, the 600 watt cable, Type 4. So somehow two 8-pins is delivering the power for the 600 watts, and we were just talking about how 3 8-pins is going to be 450 spec'd, but somehow two on this is going to be doing 600. So yeah, that's a thing. I have that cable, by the way. I could show you it, but yeah, like see this, and then it says 3.1, but I believe this was actually 3.0. So I think this is updated, but when I got it, it was 3.0. So yeah, I have the 2 to 1. And then this was called 80 plus gold, but do you see how in Cybernetics they rated it platinum? So it's because when they did the test for this platinum one, I mean, for this RM1000E, I guess they got a good one because there's some variants. You can have some good ones and some bad ones. Not all of the RM1000Es of the 2022 will be platinum, but a good amount of them are platinum. And so the one they tested for the other one was obviously gold, and then they tested this one, it was platinum. So if they weren't happy with it that every single one would be platinum, so they went with gold, yeah, as the rating. And then yeah, 0 RPM and low noise. The fan made a weird noise on the other one, which then honestly, once I tell you the next part, it's weird how it even made a noise in the first place. I'll be honest, it might have been that it was actually the older model and it wasn't even the fan at all, because now I'll go back to this page. So on here, it has all the details about this power supply, which you really would like to know this kind of stuff before you get power supplies. So that's why I'm making this kind of a video, and I think this could be super helpful for people. And basically I'm showing you how I read it a little bit. So this test specifically, the supplementary tests for reference, this fifth one is 50%. You can see the watts here. And so basically, you can see efficiency is pretty good, but then yeah, this is where the fan turns on. And so the fan on the RM1000X from 2021, the fan didn't turn on until halfway in the load. And so I'll show you now that they show super low load, 20 watt, 40, 60, 80. And then, this one is, I remember this now. This is the only one that didn't show the temperature, but in the future one, they show it because they started realizing that that's important. But I can still show it here. This is about what that was. You can see the in and out. And so you can actually see as it uses the 400, it heats up quite a lot. It's up to 50 going in and out. And then when the fan goes on, 50 out, 42 in, because then it's like pulling in and blowing out, and then where the sensor is and everything. And so you can actually see this reaches 61 after with the fan on with high load. This is above spec, so obviously it's crazy, but yeah, it'll make more sense when I show more of this after. And then we'll go to this one. And you have the RM1000E. And so you can see here, this is the ATX 3.0. And this is where I had that 2 to 1, 12. Well, I showed here. This one doesn't have that. The 8-pin to 12 volt high power. It had 100% Japanese 105C capacitors and 80 plus gold and a 10-year warranty. And this one only had a 7-year warranty, by the way. And they don't claim Japanese caps, but they're still 105 good ones. And then yeah, 7-year warranty instead of 10. So you would think this one was better, but it was actually older. It's an older model and an older spec, older version, older ATX, or like I say, it didn't have the 12 volt high power. Or the adapter or anything, and then the way the fan didn't turn on until 500. So that was this 0 RPM fan mode, and then when they say fan mode, they make it sound like you can turn it on by your choice, but you can't. You have to hit 500 watts. So basically, if you aren't hitting 500 watts on this thing, it never has a fan. And so then it's just pretty hot, and then so it probably burns out quicker. So I recommend, if you have this, if you have a power supply where the fan doesn't turn on, you should probably put a fan on it. It's really easy, just tape a fan. And then, yeah, that's going to help you a lot, I promise. Because then the main thing is you can actually see how the fan helped like cool it. Well, obviously then it's outputting the it's actually outputting hot air, but it's where the sensor actually is, because the sensor's more in like the outlet or the inlet or something instead of being directly on the caps. But the caps should, in theory, extend their life by like 2 times just by being 10 degrees cooler. So some active cooling is a lot better than just relying on yeah, especially if you have it upside down, like the heat should just soak it and shouldn't actually be able to go away. But anyways, so then you have this one, and so do you remember where I showed the 500 to get the fan going? Well, you get it a lot sooner, right away, basically. And then I showed the temps at the high end when you get to like the 1100. So this is, imagine 51 instead of 61. And then the warranty was somehow higher, but they have the same rated caps. So 10 degrees difference should be good. And like the fan actually goes higher on this one. So it feels like they learned as they went on with their series. They started to just, the fan's cheap. And then the fact that it could make the power supply last longer. And then you pretty much will always have about 20 or 40, so the fan will kick on. And then this is way better, and it's low noise as well, like they said. And then the ripple was decent on this. So this is a thing. It's basically like how accurate on each of the lines. So this one was super good. This is the saddest part about this power supply. The RM1000X, if it didn't have the 0 RPM fan mode and you could just control it, like turn it on or control the speed or whatever, this is actually a really good power supply. But it's just a little outdated if you needed the new 12-volt high power. I'm using 8 pins, but I'm just saying that if you did want ATX 3.0 or 3.1, then yeah, that's sad. But yeah, and technically how it runs hot, but it's fine, it's made for this. But yeah, technically it was actually really good. Like, it had really good ripple, it was really accurate. Yeah, this is the 3.3, had a 29, let's see, 26. So yeah, and you can see they both pass, but like the amount, so how accurate they are is really important. And then I show it all on the 1.15 because we're not doing the 230, that's more like the US. And then I wanted to show the look at the 92 efficiency at ambient. It's more efficient, the newer one. Yeah, anyways. This one is really good though, surprisingly, for being older and all that. And then it lists some of the stuff there, but and yeah, that's where I slightly overspec my power supplies over what my actual needs are for my setup. But then I wanted to show this. So I still don't understand how this can exist. 2 8 pins make 600 watts, and I have this cable, and apparently it would work for the 12-volt high power. Then we have this one. So it's just an 8 pin, and it's a 6+2. I like these. But then you have this one, okay? So this is where it's funny. So you saw how this was 650, and then it's give or take 10 millimeters. This is basically like manufacturing differences. So yeah. So anyways, then down here you see like 600 and the 100. So that's 750 with a 10 plus or minus. This is the 100, this is 600, and so you should use this cable basically, because if you go back to this page, it actually tells you the this was supposed to be a 650 in that page, but it says it's actually a 600 when they really, which I think I measured this too. Both of these are 600, and then it has the extra 150, not 100. So this is wrong, and this is right. And then, yeah, you technically, based on this, you would have used the 650s because you would have an extra 50 over the 600. So this is slightly longer. They even showed in the picture this is intended, but in reality, they're the same length. So it doesn't matter. But what I'm basically getting at is you should use the 600 part of it and not the extension, because The 600 is at 16 og, and the extra 150 is actually a thinner cable. And so it's not actually rated for the same amount of power. So where the 16 og is over spec at the 150 watt for an 8 pin, this 18 og is now like under spec, and it's actually a liability, and it's only for like slightly supplemental power, not for full use of 8 pin. So that's a thing. Yeah, the 18 actually means the extension. So when they show it here, this is thinner than this. This is 16 og, and that's 18 og, and then 18 is worse than 16. In cable, you want it to be thicker. Yep. So that's a thing. And then that wasn't even a thing with this one, I'm pretty sure. It just had 6+2s with the extent. Oh, yeah, it had it. Yeah, it had it. Okay. But yeah, you just don't use the extender. But it was actually a really good power supply other than, like I say, the fan. You could just put a fan on it, but then... yeah, it had the 1,000 watts on the 12 volt, and so did this one. Yeah. But yeah, slightly better fan in the other one. This is a magnetic levitation fan, and this is rifle bearing. And then they showed this. Yeah, this was the RPS0179, so it's slightly different. This isn't the 3.1, it's the 3.0 where it has the weird 12 volt. And then this is some extra stuff I'll show you. So this doesn't have a toggle for the fan. There's no knob for the fan. There's no USB for any smart software. There's no software. There's nothing you can do to do anything to this fan other than literally replacing it. And I'm not opening up a power supply, to be honest. But realistically, yeah, if you did, it's just replacing a fan with one and then plugging it in, and then you have a fan. But I just put one on the outside and aimed it in, and then it would blow into it and out the back where you see this power spot. So in here, because this is an intake fan, and it would blow out the back of where you're plugging in. And then this side is where your cables are attaching into this because it's modular. Yeah. So, but yeah, I was gonna show you an extra, but I'm not sure how to open it. But then, yeah, I had this one, and imagine this was still listed at like, maybe it wasn't even 1,000, it might have been the 800 actually. It was like 130, and I sold it for like 65 CAD still, even after being used and everything. It was pretty good. But yeah, I kind of want to show, I'm gonna, 1 second, let me get a page open for this. I think this will work. This should be good. Okay, so basically, this is showing you like the extreme of it. So there's this IQ, so you can plug in a USB-C into the back of this higher tier one. So they already know that these are problems, and then that you could like pay for the higher tier versions where they solve the issues, but then on the lower versions, like, you get a good power supply for a good price, but then you give up some of the quality of life, like to not be able to control the fan and stuff. Come on, man. What? It seems so simple to be able to put, you don't need a USB-C even, just put a USB. And you know where you could like do a BIOS update, or you could just control the freaking fan. Come on, man. Let me set the fan. Click a switch. Let me do a knob. The fact they had this, and you pay higher for this, is the eye. You have to get the eye. And then there's another one where it's like, oh, it's the smart version. Oh yeah, it's the dumb version when you can't control the fan. That you got that right. But then like 2-to-1 12 volt high power. How? I still don't get it. But then, yeah, the other thing was that, yeah, they don't have the 12 volt high power to the 12 volt high power on the thing, on the pictures yet. But then they already do have that as well. This is just an older one. And then they even have another one of the RM1000s that I showed. And they actually now come with knobs and fan switches. Like the newer versions of this has it because they figured it out, and people don't like that being like an extra thing you have to pay even more for. I think like it's kind of crazy. So let me try to pull this up. When you see it, you're gonna be like, no way, dude. Yeah, look. So they actually genuinely, it looks so different. The grill looks completely different. They added a knob. You can control the fan speed even. So they have the 0 RPM fan mode for near silent operation at lower loads, while also giving you the functionality. And look, it kept the same price, the same name, that you literally wouldn't know almost from looking at the old one, except for, well, if you don't know, you don't know, until you figure out. You go, oh my god. I honestly, I didn't even know about it. Was a feature to me. I was marketed as the whole it not having uh fan noise as a feature, until you realize like, oh, I actually want it cooled, and I want it lower temperature, and I want it to last longer. And please turn the fan on at not needing 500 watt usage just to turn it on. Are you kidding me? That's the most expensive fan I've ever. But then yeah, a little knob, and then fans are like 1 watt, bro. They're like 1 watt. Out of the power supply, this is the minimalist, which really, there's actually an option when you have one of these older ones. They count this as a defect. They count this as like RMA warranty. They'll fix it. So you can ship this, and then they will send you something in return that should actually have a knob or a switch for the fan. And so they'll replace it with, because they know that it's a problem, and they accepted it. And where they were supposed to have a 10-year warranty, I'm pretty sure it started to, I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure it started to create a problem, probably, that they weren't lasting to the 10 years consistently because of the 0 RPM fan mode, because of certain scenarios where they were probably just cooked. Um, So then you also see this one now, it started to have that 12 volt high power connector on the actual power supply unit, while still having 6 PCI 8 pins. And then it has the motherboard stuff, and then some SATA. So this is what, 5 SATA. So now I'll show you this. This one had 6 PCIe plus CPU 8 pin, and then the 6 SATA. So that's the same number of SATA. They genuinely just, they might have deleted 1 SATA. Yeah, they deleted 1 SATA, but it's the same amount of CPU and PCIe, which is actually just an upgrade. Then you have more when you use this, because this would have been using like another 2, and in some cases there's actually I'll show you the real 12 volt high power cable. I think this is it. It's close enough. I don't mind either way. Good enough. Okay, let's show. So this is basically, imagine 4 8 pins going into just the 12 volt high power. Some have combined it down here where they don't combine it all in just the head, to like try to save up here, which is slightly better, and then they don't have the angle, but some like the angle. And then some don't even do 4 pin, they do 2 sense pins. And so where it's a 12 plus 4, so it's a 16. Some are actually a 12 plus 2, and then they're a 14, but they still count as a 16. It's pretty weird. But then, as you can see here, there's just the straight on, and yeah, it would be from 12 to 12 instead of even doing the 8 pins. But yeah, imagine somebody who is doing this, because this is the real way you would do it, because if you needed 600, 150 per 8 pin, not 300. So then you would be using, like, if you had this one, and it's not made for this, because this is ATX 2.4 and you're supposed to be on 3.0 at least. But if you took 4 of them just for the graphics card for the 12 volt, and then let's say you had 2 all for the motherboard CPU, you literally would have no extra. And then you have all this extra SATA, like, woo, SATA, but like, come on, man. And then even this one, it expects you to do the 2 to 1 for the 12 plus 4 12 volt high power, right? And you go back up, and it's literally the same. It has less SATA. Yeah, so it's pretty crazy. It's pretty funny. This one's really nice though, like I say, from actual experience. I actually like this one because it's the 3.0 and I'm just not using the 12 watt high power and I'm not worrying about it. I don't want to have to worry about it. And then yeah, this one was good, but like I say, it's the older model and then no fan setting is like insane. And then the fact that they actually accepted this and they first put a switch and then they put a knob, and I'm at the point where they're probably soon gonna put like a regular USB on their PSUs because it's like a $200 PSU. How much is a USB port? They added the USB-C, but this is the higher tier one. I don't think we need a USB-C for this. Yeah. But that's where I would recommend over-speccing your power supply by like just 20%. And that's of the recommendation, which includes spikes because of the transient spikes. But then your power supplies are also rated for extra transient spikes over what the normal rating is. The normal rating is usually for like consistent usage, and that's where it's actually doing the 20% extra just gives you that extra room. But some of them are actually like really good high quality when they're titanium or platinum and they're rated for higher, but then it's still good to not push it to its maximum usually 24/7. Yeah, but yeah, then the better it is, usually the better it is for that. But that's where yeah, I would go with 20% over what you would actually be using, but then even then wouldn't even be using all that all the time. It's just that that's what it would be capable of doing then. And then I like 80 plus gold because of the efficiency and the price. I showed you how much more going platinum slash the higher the extra quality of life stuff can be. Like you don't really need the extra software and stuff. It's just being able to control the fan is pretty nice. Otherwise, if your fan doesn't turn on, I guess you're adding another fan, which is way cheaper than dealing with more issues related to the power supply. Trust me. It's pretty cheap to just slap a fan on it, and then I'm telling you, it'll extend the life of your power supply, and you'll probably even have better efficiency, and it'll actually like run better, especially if your fan wasn't turning on you. That's what I'm saying. And then just make sure it goes the same way. And then the freaking 12 volt high power. I still don't know how it's saying that you do 2-to-1 for the other one of two 8-pins to a 12 volt. And this is a cable that they sell for $45. Yeah, pretty crazy. Like I have this thing, and then look at how all the cables are bundled really close together because they have all these cables going into that. And then these pins are tinier than this because I can actually show you, I think. On this page, oh, that's the sense pins. Yeah, it doesn't tell you about the actual pins on the connector, but the pins on the connector are tinier, so it doesn't make any sense. Yeah. But yeah, it's rated for 600 on this one. That's a 2 to... I showed you it. It's 2-to-1. So this is 300 per PCIe instead of 150, which is like, what the fuck? No way. Well, either way, I hope you guys enjoy my first tech vid. I'm gonna be posting more, but I wanted to start with power supplies because it's good for people to know their power supply stuff before I get into the other things, so that because if you have unstable power, then pretty much your whole system could be unstable, and anything other tech stuff is pretty much irrelevant until you there's a few like starting points I think I need to go over where make sure people have good power, and then there's like a couple other things that I think are pretty high priority. And then like I say, technically the fan thing on your power supply, or just even thinking about your power supply if people haven't thought about it in a long time, and like the 80 plus, or even just cybernetics if you haven't used this before, or even just some of the things I thought about and some of my personal experiences with this. And then like I say, my choice to do the extra 20%, the Canadian method, leaving the headroom. It's like part of our outlet thing. Yeah, you don't use the full outlet. It's part of the circuit board panel thing as well. You don't use all of the power of the breaker or whatever. Either way. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. And if you've ever used a power supply, like the video, and if you guys like the video, and if you guys are new to the channel, then hit that subscribe button so you guys are notified of the next one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next tech vid. I don't know what to post yet, so comment what you want to see or anything you don't know. Maybe I can help. Tech support with Ethan. Bye.